are back with another episode of Pizza and Parsecs. I'm Dave.
I'm Liv.
And today we have a very special guest with us today. You might notice we got some new artwork out there. There's some new artwork on our for our podcast.
Super dope.
It is super dope. So today we have good friend, family even, Rebecca. Now, Rebecca is an extremely talented artist in the digital art, animation, and storyboard landscapes. She makes all these really compelling illustrations and characters from things that we in the nerd world know and love. Things like Transformers, Marvel, DC, Firefly, Power Rangers, brilliant Disney adaptations. One thing I also want to point out is that she does this really cool nerd culture that has a religious flavor to it. I'm thinking specifically of Dragon Ball Jesus. Rebecca?
Yes, I drew that too.
And speaking of Dragon Ball Z, she is also extremely proficient in drawing anime and Dragon Ball Z characters. She really has a way of bringing these characters to life through her art. They tell a story, even if they're just still frames. And before we dive in and start to get to know her, just to let y'all know, she is on the socials, Facebook at Rebecca Hudgens, Twitter at Reb Hudge, and Instagram at Rebecca Hudgens Artist. So with that, Rebecca, welcome to Pizza and Parsecs.
Glad to be here.
We are thrilled to have you. So once again, thank you so much for the new artwork for our podcast. We are obsessed with it. We love it. So thank you so very much.
You're so very, very welcome. It was rather fun drawing it. I loved drawing the things that are stuck in the pizza. It just came into my head for whatever reason.
It's probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen as far as like artwork goes. It's really, really dope.
Thank you.
So, Rebecca, I know we didn't really review what a format for this looks like, but basically, I'm going to ask both you and Liv some questions, because Liv does her own art.
Amateur art.
Amateur art.
Very much amateur.
I'm amateur too. I mean, just...
I beg to differ. I'm looking at some of your stuff right now, and I'm like, there's nothing amateur about that. It's very professional.
We spent some time today nerding out over your artwork on Instagram and your website.
Oh, you guys are sweet.
Just pre-gaming for talking to you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm blushing.
Good, as you should. So, first question is going to go to you, and then Liv. How did you first get started? Like, talk about your journey. How did this whole art thing come about?
Well, this whole art thing was actually my brother's doing. My brother GJ, he, for whatever reason, he would always start drawing Godzilla every time he watches a movie of Godzilla he would watch, and being the little sister, I always have to imitate what he's doing, so I picked up a pencil and paper and started from there. I guess the only difference between him and I is that, well, I just kept on drawing. And I've gotten a little bit better as time progressed. Eventually, I've learned how to hold a pencil properly. Later in life, I would watch shows like Beast Wars, then Dragon Ball Z. That was like the peak of my drawing. That's when I really got into drawing more and more. And
game changer.
Yeah. And I would always, even in school, teachers and other kids would come over me. It's like, wow, you draw so good. You draw so good. Can you draw me? Can you teach me how to draw? And I'm like, thank you. I'm not sure I know how to teach you how to draw. I just draw. As time progressed, I got more and more into like the anime culture, and I started drawing more anime, more DBZ mostly. Kept going through till high school. Finally, into college, I actually decided to go to an art school called the Art Institute to harness my drawings, and I've learned how to gesture draw, sketch properly, and even do self-portraits. I mean, it was all so much fun, and I learned how to animate and storyboard. That's pretty much where I am right now. I haven't stopped drawing since.
So real quick, you said gesture something?
gesture drawing. It's like...
Oh, gesture drawing.
Yeah, it's like basically just watching people, whatever they do, whatever motions they make, and just quickly doodle them, sketch them on your sketchpad.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Now, what about you, Liv? Talk a little bit about how you got started.
Well, I accidentally ended up in a art class in high school. I needed an extra elective my junior year, and I somehow ended up in art. I think I had originally wanted to take like photography or something like that, but I put Art 1 down as a backup and ended up in Art 1 class. I was always a kid who's like, I can't draw. I can barely draw stick figures. Through that, like, art class, I realized, oh, it's something that's actually kind of fun. And in an Art 1 class, at least at my high school, we did a lot of, like, words and, like, cartoons and easy drawing things to just get the basics down. And then my senior year, I took Art 2 and Drawing 1. Now all I do is just fun stuff. I didn't do like college or anything, and yeah, so I continue doing it for fun.
One of the reasons I wanted to bring you into this is because you drew our current artwork that we're still keeping around. That piece of artwork was actually something that you drew for me as a gift for Christmas.
Yeah, and then I bought a frame, and it was fun.
And I love it dearly.
Is that the old cover for the podcast she drew?
Yes.
Yeah.
The
I like
OG cover. The OG P&P cover.
Yeah, I like that too. That was cute.
Thanks. I try.
So, somewhat of a related question, Rebecca. How long have you been drawing or artisting?
First of all, I'm not sure that artisting is a word. Second of all, I guess professionally, I've been doing this maybe since 2014, perhaps. It's just been a long time. I progressed from using a pencil to using a mouse on Microsoft Paint, now to using a stylus and a tablet. I mean, it's just progressed, and I've been doing this for just years, I guess.
So, real quick, I've always had a question about that aspect of it. So as you're going from, putting pen to paper, pencil to paper, and navigating away from that into the digital world and using a mouse before you got a stylus, that seems like something that would be exceedingly hard to use a mouse as opposed to something that resembles a pencil. Can you talk about what that transition looked like? Like, how did that work?
Using a mouse, I guess I didn't find it hard at first because it was new to me, and I just learned how to chauffeur it. Basically, I just had to have the right mouse pad and just a right grip. And I just opened up Microsoft Paint and just started drawing. Little did I know that when I started to transition from mouse to stylus, I realized using the stylus, it's so much easier and so much authentic and flowy. I realized that looking back, the mouse was pretty much of a nightmare using, but it was still one of my journeys, one of my tools, and for that, I'm always grateful for the mouse.
It seems like a giant pain.
It can be. Today it is, yeah, because there's barely any mice left. But yeah, you have to have the right mouse pad to keep it from sliding too much, the right grip. And for some reason, I was able to do that no problem long before the stylus came, long before Wacom tablets and canvases.
Interesting. See, I think one of my big roadblocks with using a mouse is I write, and what drawing I've ever done has been with my left hand. But I would use a mouse with my right hand. So it seems like a big roadblock for me.
Yeah, I didn't have to deal with that. I'm a right-handed person. I'm a righty, so I'm okay with that. I can barely do anything with my left hand anyway, so.
I think Liv here is in the same boat as you.
I can't do anything with my left hand.
Yeah, preaching to the choir.
So, what about you, Liv?
I only draw as a hobby. It's kind of something that I do as I have free time, or let me decompress, and I need to stay away from watching dance videos, or maybe I just need to get away from the teaching mindset for a minute. I've been drawing, painting, coloring. I don't know what you want to call what I do. All of those things probably for a little over 10 years. Because I started when I was a junior in high school. And that was 11 years ago.
So nobody's ever asked you to draw something for them?
I've had a few people ask me to draw for them. I've designed 2 different tattoos for friends in college and they actually have those tattoos on their body. And just for fun, yeah, people have asked me to draw stuff for them.
Didn't your brothers ask you, recently?
Yeah, Gabe asked me to paint an album cover on the back of his phone case. And then Garrett asked me to do, I think I did 15 or 16 different album covers on one piece of paper as like a collage, and I hand drew and colored all those. So I guess, yeah, done a couple of those.
That's cool.
Still more like a hobby.
No, that's cool. And the reason I ask is this kind of feeds into my next question.
Oh, okay.
You know, you talked a little bit about how you do it for you and you do it as a hobby for, your own personal enjoyment and whatnot. So, Rebecca, this next question, I was curious, compare and contrast like drawing for yourself and drawing for someone else, like drawing for commissions for your job. How do those two things differ? Is the process the same? Just kind of walk me through that.
Drawing for commissions, it can be fun and it can be rewarding itself, but it's also work. I mean, you have to pay attention to what the customer wants specifically. You got to be sure to get all the details right and make sure it's good. At the same time, put a little bit of your own essence in it as well. I think that's the point why they hired you in the first place, because they like your style of art and they want to put your own essence there, if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. I can see, there is your signature, but there's your signature, like that feel in every piece that I've seen from you. I scroll through your Instagram, I can see there's a common feel to it.
Right. Drawing for yourself, well, obviously you're just free to do that, whatever. And that's, I think every artist likes to draw for themselves all the time instead of drawing for other people because, well, it's liberating, it's free, and therapeutic. If you looked at my Instagram, there are a lot of pictures of drawings of myself and certain aspects, and it was rather all that was mostly for therapeutic purposes. And I tend to have anxiety. I do have anxiety issues and OCD and stuff, and of course, that comes in handy when you draw to have OCD. Drawing just for yourself, it's rewarding, and you just feel free. You're in your own world. Nobody can tell you what or how much is too much or how much is too less, and except for you. That is both a blessing and a curse.
No, I agree. I think it is a blessing and a curse because I have the too much gene where I go too far, too much with my art, and then it's like, oh, this is great. I think I can add just a little bit more, and then it's too far, and I'm like, well, I just ruined it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's nerve-wracking at the same time, but it's also quite enjoyable.
So what about you, Liv? Talked about both sides of it just now, how you had some folks that actually do reach out to you and want you to draw things.
I kind of forget, when people ask me to do stuff for them, I don't do it as a job, or I don't I just do it for fun. So when people ask me, hey, can you paint the back of my phone case? Or, hey, can I have a piece of art that has your kind of spin on different album covers? I think of it as more of drawing for myself still, just because I enjoy it as a therapeutic type event or therapeutic release, that even when I do stuff for other people who ask it of me, for me, it's just doing it for myself. And I actually have a very difficult time just drawing for myself for the sake of drawing, because I never feel like I can come up with something creative enough unless I'm doing it for somebody else. Does that make sense? Most of my art I give away.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate curse of a starving artist, that you draw mostly for exposure than you do for money. I mean, when I was in college, I was under the impression, hey, maybe if I get a degree in this, I could become an animator and provide for myself and stuff. That's not always the case. You gotta start off small, and you gotta start drawing for people get exposure first, and then put price tags on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the best way I compare it for myself is when I do choreography. Most of the time I choreograph for very small commission, and slowly that builds. As far as drawing and stuff goes for me, I think it's one of those art forms that we need to appreciate more and pay more, just like I would with dancing and choreography and stuff, because it's just as tedious and just as detail-oriented as I think some other jobs. Like, I don't know why it's considered a starving art form, why we have to be starving artists to do something that we feel is so, what's the word I'm looking for?
Exactly. We're like at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to jobs, pretty much. And
yes.
It's ridiculous. And honestly, if you think about it, if it weren't for artists, you wouldn't have like symbols like NFL symbol or the American flag or anything. All that was created from somebody. Like a simple drawing or a simple knit, simple thread. We're just easily overlooked and taken advantage of. And
yeah.
It sucks, but
I think it's really cool though, because there are times, and most of the time, I draw because I like to do it and I enjoy it, and it brings me, peace of mind and just gives me something to center in on, hone in on with my brain, and just kind of equalize my anxiety. Or if I could not be having anxiety and still just want to draw, but it's this like beautiful creation that we bring up at the end of it, where like money or no money, it's still a beautiful, fun thing that we get to do. And I'm speaking on both drawing and doing choreography and dancing and stuff, because that's where I know this from.
Yeah, exactly. There was a point in my life, I was almost finishing college, or I finished college, either way, but I was trying so hard to like get a job or something through my drawing or get money for drawing. And I was like real low, like depressed, and saying my drawings suck. They'll never make it to anywhere, and nobody likes them, and I suck as an artist or whatever. But then I get that way whenever I'm in the middle of drawing and something's not right, and I can't figure out what I did wrong in the drawing, and I can't seem to pinpoint it, and I just stop for a second. But then somehow somebody or some way, either it would be my parents or my brother, telling me, you are a good artist. You are a good artist. You can draw. This is what you love to do. And then something clicks back in my mind saying, hey, this is what I love to do. Draw. I like to draw. Keep going at it. If people notice you, fine. If they don't, fine. Who cares? Just do it for you. And that's what I'm trying to separate from the work and the fun part of drawing. But at the same time, whenever I'm doing commissions or if I'm drawing for myself, either way, the common denominator is I like to draw. That's the common denominator. And I had to keep that in mind every time I'm drawing, either for commissions or if I'm drawing for myself, no matter what. That's the kind of thing I'm good at and I love to do. It's something God gave me for whatever reason, and I love to do it. So I just keep on drawing.
That was very well said. You're capitalizing, and maybe not capitalizing, but you're utilizing this gift that you've been given in a positive way and spreading that to everyone.
I mean, Liv you like to dance, don't you, Liv?
Yeah, no, I'm actually a professional dancer. Like, I get paid to dance and choreograph and teach, and I love to dance.
Yeah, there you go. And you love to dance. If you love to do something, just keep at it, work hard at it. In fact, I kind of go by this mantra. One of my favorite voice actors and heroes, Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, the original Optimus Prime, said that if you love something you love to do, you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Yeah, I completely 100% agree. There was a long period of time where I wasn't getting paid to dance, and I never cared. And even still, like if I wasn't getting paid to perform or anything, that's not why I do what I do. And I like to tell my employers, if I could teach without having to worry about bills, I'd do it for free. But I have bills, so somewhere's got to pay. I gotta make money somehow.
Yeah, we gotta eat.
Exactly. We say we're starving artists, but we actually physically aren't hungry. We just are deprived of everything else.
At the same time, you cannot lose that spirit of drawing or dancing. Because from the beginning and in the end, that's just what you love to do ever since you were little. I was little.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Rebecca, talk a little bit about how long it takes to put together one of these beautiful works of art. For instance, the new artwork that you did for our show, how long did that actually take? Like from conception to actual execution to delivery?
For your poster in particular, it took about 2 to 3 days max, perhaps. I mean, at first I would make little doodles, like little thumbnails, very quick sketches. I'd show them to you, obviously, at which one you prefer, and then I would start sketching and listen to my endless music and songs on my iTunes to keep myself inspired and keep myself drawing. And once I got the sketch perfect, I start to ink very carefully on different layers. Once I'm finished with the inking, I would combine all the layers into one giant layer. Then the coloring comes. That's the fun part. That's probably my favorite part, is the coloring, because you're like halfway there, halfway done. Then once that's done, you go to the shading and the lighting, and you have to figure out, do I push overlay, multiply, color burn, whatever, I don't know. You sketch, you ink, you color, then you shade and light, and you make sure everything's good, make little touches, tweaks, retouches, retweaks, and you just sign your name, put your watermark on there, see if they like it. They do, let them pay you, then give them the thing without the watermark, and you're good. You're done. Sounds simple, but not easy.
So yeah, I definitely do know the process that graphic design takes, or the side that you go through, Rebecca. It's definitely super cool, and always I enjoy watching the process. I like watching people go from the sketch to the ink to the, each layer is so cool. And then when they swipe from beginning to end and you get to see the full product, it's really cool to see that process.
I like to go on YouTube and find these speed painting videos of people recording themselves drawing and sketching, and fast forward like super, super fast, and it just makes it look so easy. It's not. And I've done that before. I recorded my screen to draw and sketch for the final touches, but the problem is it just made me nervous for some reason. Like I didn't feel comfortable in recording myself drawing, because for some reason I feel like somebody's watching me or something. I was like, oh my gosh, I should do this. No, I should do that. No, I should do this. But and I'm not thinking that's how I should when I'm drawing. But yeah, I do like to watch other people post their own recordings of their own drawings.
Yeah, me too. I find myself watching a lot of like speed drawing, and like you were saying, speed drawing, speed painting and stuff like that. Yeah,
speed painting.
Not just for inspiration, but also for kind of like technique building type things. Like I said, I'm an amateur, especially in the side of the art that I do. As far as like utilizing markers, like this is the first time I've kind of dabbled in, playing with Copic markers and alcohol-based markers versus water-based markers. And being red-green colorblind, it's really difficult sometimes to see shades of colors. So I always tried really hard to stay away from that. But instead of fearing from that, I kind of started dabbling more and more, watching more YouTube videos and seeing these speed drawing and speed coloring, and developing like a way of, okay, how can I take this roadblock and continue to utilize it for something super cool? I went back and reviewed all of my fun art stuff from high school to kind of remind myself, okay, if the color code number goes up, it gets darker, so then at least I know this will be a good shading tool opposed to this lighter one, and just pray it works.
That is incredible. I had no idea you couldn't see a green or red. Is that right?
So the version of red-green colorblind that I struggle with is, also Dave also struggles with this as well, is the version where we can see all the primary colors. It's the second they start kind of venturing out in the shades of those primary colors. So anything that deters from a green color or a red color or a blue color that goes darker or lighter, we have a really hard time actually seeing that transition in shade. We kind of see the same color throughout until it becomes extremely drastic, different shades of colors.
That's why I like very vibrant colors, like the neon type colors I really like.
That's why I wear black. Just all black.
I'll just go with black. That's incredible. I had no idea. That makes perfect sense. And I love how you use that as as your strength, though. You take something take an obstacle, but you make it as your strength, as far as I'm seeing, and you turn it into something else. You look at it another way, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah. Because I had always wanted to kind of dive deeper into Copic markers. I've always been really obsessed with colors and stuff, and just the use of like shading and different really cool things. I love to draw and I love graphite work and I love just pencil and paper, but I knew I wanted to kind of expand on that, and knowing that I was red-green colorblind, I always treated it like a crutch and like, oh, I can't do that because I can't see colors. But yeah, I then was like, you know what? Whatever, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least I can say I tried. And now, like, that's all I've been doing recently is I kind of pulled myself away from the actual drawing aspect. And now I've been playing with doing cartoons and comics. And, well, how can I make a real person, look like a Star Wars character? Or how can I make this person look like an anime character? It's been really fun.
I can understand that. And that. I never had a problem with my color side or eyesights. I'm sure my eyesight will be terrible by the time I'm, 80 years old, but I got time till then. My biggest fear is two things, like going blind or having my right arm sawed off or something, because I won't be able to do anything without my right arm, because that's how I draw. I gotta see what I'm drawing.
I mean, I can understand that. As going back towards the dancing aspect, I think one of, I've gone through seasons of life where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to dance anymore. I don't need to dance anymore. I'm done with that. I'm done with that part of my life. But if I couldn't teach, like if I couldn't communicate how to educate other young dancers how to dance, I think I would be probably the saddest human being on earth. And I think Dave can attest to that. That when I don't teach, I get very sad.
Yeah, because it's a part of you. It's part of your identity.
People scare me in general. So I'm going to keep on drawing. And if somebody asks like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? Do you know any tips or whatever? I mean, I'd be happy to give. Actually, there was somebody on Deviant Art. I do have a Deviant Art page, and someone gave me a private note asking me, hey, I love your Transformers artwork. You think you could give me some tips on how I can make them look like people just as robots and not just blocks? And I told them, yeah, just draw people and then put the details on there later, if that makes sense.
No, that's really cool. I think that kind of pushes us into our next sort of topic here. Talking a little bit about what are some of the tools of the trade, technologies of the trade even. What does that look like for you, Reb? What do you use?
I use a program called Sketchbook Pro. I used to use this one program called Paint Tool Sci, but my PC broke and my parents were like, we're getting you a Mac. Okay, fine, whatever. But Paint Tool Sci was only PC automated or PC something. Anyway, I was in the dark for a while. I was like, oh no, how am I going to draw with a Mac? I came across this thing called Autodesk Sketchbook Pro, and I told my parents, I want this for my birthday, please. I promise I'll pay you back. And ever since then, I've been drawing using Sketchbook Pro, and it's done me wonders. And I mean, I've tried drawing things like Krita and Photoshop, but I mean, Sketchbook is like a dumbed down Photoshop program for me. It's perfect for me. I mean, does it have all the things Photoshop has? No, but it still works wonders, and I'm happy with it, and I don't plan on changing programs anytime soon. I mean, it's good to try out other programs besides just one, but me being a creature of habit, I gotta stick to my own guns and stick to what I know.
So, Liv, what about you? What do you use? You talked about Copics earlier.
Yeah.
What's a Copic?
It's the best marker on the planet. I love these markers so much. They're extremely expensive, but I love them. I use very typical number 2 pencils when I draw. Yeah. I use number 2 pencils. I use the just very generic white erasers to erase. I don't like using pink erasers because most paper picks up the pigment and color in the pink erasers, and then you're left with a pink residue on your drawing, or depending on what kind of foundational paper you use. I've been using a lot of like multi-purpose or marker-based pages and paper, and they pick up the pink residue of the eraser.
So it's very sensitive to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I use white erasers more so than anything else. Recently, I've been using a lot of Copic markers. Usually, I just use pencils and shading tools, but Copic markers are alcohol-based markers that are like the coolest things ever.
And why is that important?
They blend really, really well. Alcohol-based markers have a higher saturation rate, meaning that when you put down one layer and then you take another color and you overlay it or you try to shade it in, it saturates that bottom layer into a deeper, pure shade, like a color pencil would. But then you get that cartoon or very vibrant look to it.
It's gorgeous.
I love them so much.
I have some Copic markers too, but I really love the Prismacolor markers. I mean, they don't use alcohol. There's another chemical they use. It starts with an X. I have no idea, but apparently it's better than alcohol. It makes colors more vibrant. And I've recently used Arteza, Arteza, watercolor brush markers, and I've been learning how to do that, and those are really fun.
I also have, I don't think it's the same brand, but I have watercolor based, but marker paintbrush kind of fusion. And those have been really fun. I played with those for a little bit as well. Yeah, and I used, it's water-based markers before I got the Copics because I'm broke. Starving artist over here. And Yay! I wanted to make David a really cool birthday card and kind of surprise him with artwork because I hadn't told him, hey, I can actually draw or I actually can, do stuff. So I was like, I'm going to surprise him by making him a birthday card. And I did like a Dragon Ball Z type thing, but I didn't have any like markers. I didn't have any, color pencils. I was like, I don't want to just sketch it and draw it. So I went to Michael's and bought a water-based marker set that was like super cheap. Because I was like, well, maybe if I just dabble in water-based markers first, I can save up and get Copic markers later, which turned out to be super cool. And I still use those because they're really fun. It's harder to blend water-based markers. You kind of have to oversaturate and oversaturate and oversaturate just to get the kind of definition that you want. But it was a good first go around.
I want to learn how to use pastels, like pastel chalks, and I know how to use charcoal. Problem is that they're always messy and stuff, and I always have to constantly wash my hands. Like I said before, I'm OCD, so I wash my hands all the time anyway. So
yeah, I love doing stuff with charcoal, but hate the mess. Yeah, and I definitely love like pastel, like oil pastels and things like that. I don't get to use those as often just because they are a huge mess and it's hard to, allow myself enough time to sit down and be like, I'm going to go ahead and make this mess and then clean it up and then go about my day with pastels and charcoal.
I tried to draw a portrait of Jane Cobb from Firefly using oil pastels and it did not turn out well at all.
Of course you tried that.
I like Jane, okay?
I couldn't tell. I've never been able to tell. I think you need a few more Adam Baldwin pieces on your Instagram and Twitter and your website. Maybe to throw a few more up there. I don't think he's getting enough love.
Well, if you say so. Okay, sure.
So Adam Baldwin, if you're out there listening to Pizza and Parsecs, you have a fan.
Yeah, I doubt that, but
hey, you
don't
know.
Dream big.
Come on.
I'm so okay. I didn't mean to offend. Sorry.
We have listeners from all over the world. Like, let's be real.
Okay.
I saw one from Singapore once.
Shout out to Singapore.
All right, Singapore. Yay, Adam Baldwin. Woo.
So speaking of exotic places, Rebecca, Where is your favorite place to work? Like, do you have a specific tree you sit under while you sketch away?
It's this one tree to the left of the eastern seaboard. I don't know.
Well, I take out my keyblade and I go and turn the lock on that, and I go to a place where Nominee is. And wait, no, sorry. I like to draw my at my desk. Pretty much, I just have my computer, have my canvas and my stylus, and I just have my lamp on, and I usually like to draw like at night. For some reason, I draw better at night. For whatever reason, I'm such a night owl.
I think somebody else here can relate to that.
Yeah. I as messy as it is, I have a specific blanket that I lay over my bed, and then I sit on that to draw and stuff, because when I erase, and I can shake it out later, and I'm not getting like eraser dust in my bed. But
That's a good idea.
Find the most satisfaction doing all of my art stuff at night in my room with my lamp on. But I watch TV. You mentioned you listen to music. I actually like to have the television playing like a series, like I'll watch How I Met Your Mother or The Office, or what else do I like? Parks and Rec.
Clone Wars.
I'm just now starting Clone Wars. I just finished How I Met Your Mother for the third time.
I'm evangelizing it as much as possible.
That's beside the point. I like to watch TV. Sometimes I'll put a movie on, but that kind of requires a little bit more concentration than a TV show that I've watched 1,000 times and can just have as background noise. Hence the reason I don't draw when watching Clone Wars.
Yeah, I can't watch TV when I draw for some reason, because I'm too distracted of what's going on, because I know what's going to happen, but I watch it anyway. But especially if a movie's playing, I cannot draw when a movie's playing. I have to have my full attention there. I mean, I used to when I was little, because I didn't have much of an attention span. So now I do. Or is that the other way around? I'm not sure. Anyway, I prefer just the sounds of a song or music over TV playing. I mean, I can handle TV watching as long as the volume's down, but I gotta have my music for whatever reason.
No, yeah, I totally understand that. I think everyone has their own kind of process as far as how we develop our craft and how we work and do art. And I think it's super cool that we all have different kind of vices to go about doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have your TV, I have my music, and Dave has his
Clone Wars.
Yes.
And I think one of the reasons, and I just realized this, I think one of the reasons why I can't listen to music and draw is because every time I listen to music, I associate that to my big passion, which is dancing and teaching and choreographing. And if I'm trying to do something that kind of pulls me out of that mindset, music is like the worst thing to do, because then immediately I'm starting to create dances in my head.
Have you thought about recording yourself dancing while listening to music, and then looking at yourself and just sketching yourself on paper just to see what kind of gestures you make?
I have never considered doing that. I don't think I personally am at a level of artistry where I'd be able to be satisfied with the drawing or sketching that I do, but I've always wanted to do that for someone who is super skilled, and I would dance and somebody would sketch and make those shapes. I wonder who I could, collaborate with.
Dave?
Yeah. Why are you laughing so hard?
Because I didn't expect her to say that. I thought it was funny. You're a good artist.
You've literally never seen me draw.
I've seen all your 3D stuff, and that's art. Boom.
3D stuff is art,
I've seen your costumes. I saw your helmet. I saw all the cool stuff that you've 3D printed. You're an artist. You can 3D print.
That is a form of art, Dave. 3D printing is a form of art. And cosplaying, apparently.
I agree with that. I think it's dope.
Don't try to make me feel better.
No, I laughed because I thought it was a funny...
It was a funny opportunity for me, so I capitalized on it.
But for real, though, like, Rebecca, if you ever wanted to collaborate and do something like that, like, hit me up. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, this is kind of a two-pronged question. What is your favorite genre or thing to draw? And can you give me an example of it? Like, do you have a specific piece in mind? Like, when I ask you that question? Like, do you like drawing anime more? Or do you like drawing these Disney characters more? Or do you like drawing the nerdy religious flavor ones more?
It varies. It depends on what kind of clique or phase I'm in right now. Like, for example, I've been through the longest Transformers phase for as long as I can remember, and I've drawn nothing but Transformers, and now I recently discovered Firefly, and I love drawing Firefly now, and I like drawing people. I mostly like to draw people because, A, it's slightly easier than Transformers, but I just draw whatever style I'm in the mood for, basically. I think all the styles are my children, but I don't have favorites.
So flavor of the week kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Is it the same for you, Liv?
Yeah, I find right now I'm more into the like cartoon, comic book type feel, more taking characters and making them a little bit more childlike opposed to mature. So making them shorter or having fuller face and bright colors and less somber type feels. But I also really, really like doing as close to photorealism landscape. I like doing those a lot.
See, I'm the opposite.
Doing like flowers and stuff.
See, I'm the opposite. I try to take the most kid-like thing ever and turn it into something dark and somber, like I did for Dora the Explorer. If you see it on my Instagram, I made her into like this really badass-looking Lara Croft character, a vicious-looking boots on her shoulder with a gun.
Or Arthur on Titan?
Yes, I love that one. And there's Bible Man.
I grew up with Bible Man, and this is the coolest ever. My heart is so happy.
I'm so happy. That's what I like to do, too, is like making people happy through my drawings. They make me happy, and they make other people happy, so it's a win-win.
That's awesome. That's just so cool. Bible Man's dope. I remember watching a lot of Bible Man when I was a kid.
I saw like one episode at first grade, and I was like, what is this? I'm sorry. It was a little too much for me.
Oh no, you're good. I was homeschooled, so we watched VeggieTales and Bible Man.
Ah. Oh, that's another one. I need to draw a serious version of VeggieTales.
That would be so dope.
Gotta do that. Now I'm inspired.
So, Rebecca, wrapping things up with this here, who or what inspires you?
That is a very good question. I mean, there's like a lot. There's more than one person, and there's more than one thing. I mean, I can't really exactly pinpoint it. I guess perhaps the closest thing, and yes, it's probably going to sound very Christian cliche of me, but it's God's my inspiration, because he put all these things in my head, and when I meet these new people like at Dragon Con, or if I hear these people on the internet, I mean, and I'm inspired from them, or I'm inspired from a TV show or whatever, I mean, next thing I know it, I'm just with a pencil and a paper, and I gotta keep reminding myself who's the real person who led me there. So, I mean, I go where my heart goes.
Yeah, I feel very similar as far as with art and with dancing. You know, if it wasn't for the Lord placing that in my heart and in my field of vision, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. But as far as like outside of, to change the answer around so I don't sound like I'm just piggybacking off of Rebecca, for me, the very beginning, Andy Warhol was like a big, big influence in my life. I really liked his edge work and his edge painting, which is very opposing colors, creating art. So we have the Marilyn Monroe, we have the soup can, we have all of these really cool pieces that are just very clear, one color next to another color, creating shapes to make it look like a face or a can of soup or all the fun things he does, which is what led me to my first actual like really dedicated piece where I painted a hard edge of me in point shoes. I did all, it was a white piece of paper, I painted every black piece. It's actually in my parents' garage. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I did that. And it's super cool, and I loved it. But as cliche as this is going to sound, Butch Hartman is an inspiration for my cartoon work. He was the primary animator for Nickelodeon back in the day of SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Ben 10. What he did, I think he did animations for Batman. I'm trying to think of what other animations he's done. I don't remember, but he has a YouTube
Danny
channel
Phantom.
now, and he talks about how he got into that field and all the cartoons and how he creates cartoons. And I thought that was really inspiring. And that's what kind of led me to more cartoon work.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I was led to other artists that inspired me, like George Perez. He did Teen Titans and Wonder Woman, the comic books. And I say I have a lot, but all I can think of is 2 now.
That's okay. I knew what these questions were going to be beforehand because I actually created them for the running one that we did with your brother.
Uh-huh.
Not all of them, just a few of them. This one in particular.
So, Rebecca, real quick before we wrap up this episode of Pizza and Parsecs, is there anything you want to plug? Like where people can find more of your work? How can they support you? Where can they find you?
I have a Facebook for my art page. You can look me up on Twitter at Reb Hudge. Look me up on Instagram and on Deviant Art. And I even have my own website. It's a rather long, tedious website address, but you can find the link on my Twitter and my Instagram page. So you can find me there.
And we will be sure to link all of those things in the show notes. Rebecca, thanks again so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you and what you do.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was super fun to talk to somebody who I don't want you to know, I'm not trying to be a doofus or anything, but I've been following you ever since I actually met you for Dragon Con back in September. I have even been inspired by some of the stuff that you've done for my own work because I think you're super dope. And so, yeah, fun fact, you inspire me too. Okay, bye!
Aw, thanks, Liv.
So that wraps it up for this episode of Pizza and Parsecs. I'm Dave.
I'm Liv.
And you can check out our show on bit.ly/pizza and parsecs pod or on your podcasting platform of choice. If you like what you hear, then share it with a friend and follow us on our socials at Pizza and Parsecs. Also, don't forget to check out Rebecca on the links that we've posted in the show notes. Thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next time. Deprived of taste since you don't like Rogue One.
We're not talking about that. I also don't like Phantom Menace. Sue me.
Oh,
Maybe I will.
You gonna sue your future wife?
You'll be hearing from my lawyers.
Right, okay. What's mine is yours and what's yours is mine.
Exactly, so the settlement will go to us.
Exactly.
You're welcome.
So your lawyers are also my lawyers. I wonder who they're gonna side with the most. Depends on if they like Phantom Menace and Rogue One or not.
Exactly. I'm gonna hire a pure Star Wars nerd.
Okay, whatever.
so I'm just hearing prenum.
I have nothing. I have nothing to say because you said a lot of words that I am unfamiliar with, but it sounds very involved, and the end product is super impressive. So I respect your process.
Okay. Well, that's important. I mean,
Why did you say it so aggressively? I respect your process.
I'm threatened by how little I actually know in this world.
Yeah. I definitely, it's like I... What is that face?
Rebecca, we can hear the dogs in the background.
sorry.
And it just...
Lobo, Josie, stop.
It sounds like...
It sounds like someone's choking.
I'm sorry.
It's funny.
It's almost time for me to feed them, and they get rambunctious. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It sounded like something gross.
Sorry.
Sounds like Smeagol found a lollipop.
Ew.